So back in 2020, I decided to pick up the iPad Air 4th generation because it had the brand new design that looked like the iPad Pros but didn't cost as much, and it still had Apple Pencil 2 support. But not even a year later, Apple decided to release the new iPad Pro models with the M1 chips, and I was instantly interested, just like many other people out there. And after a year of telling myself that I didn't need to upgrade to the M1 iPad Pros, I decided to ignore my better judgment, sell my iPad Air, and pick up the M1 iPad Pro, and I decided to go up to the 12.9 display as well. And after a few months of using it, I'm still a little conflicted as to whether I am happy about this upgrade. I'd love to tell you why. So, let's talk tech. I'm Adrian with Ardently Tech. We believe tech was made to make our lives easier, so we're here to help you understand and discover new tech that improves your life. This iPad Pro was supposed to do that for me, and in some cases it does, but there's also some days where it's not really doing it for me. But let's backtrack for some context. So the iPad Air that I got was just like this one. This is my wife's. This is the 10.9 inch iPad Air 4th generation. The only difference between this model and the one that I had was it was blue and it had 256 gigabytes versus my wife's base model 64 gigs. I didn't have cellular, I just had Wi-Fi on it, and I used it religiously with the Apple Pencil and my Magic Keyboard. And what I ended up upgrading to was the M1 iPad Pro that was renewed on Amazon for a very great price. It had 256 gigabytes of storage and cellular. If you're not familiar with the size difference between these two iPads, there it is right there. It's pretty significant. Now let's talk about what I used my iPad Air for before I upgraded to the iPad Pro. So I used this for work primarily. I wasn't a student anymore, but I was taking a lot of notes during meetings and things like that. Anything I needed to remember, just jot it down on my iPad Air, whether in the Notes app or on GoodNotes. I'd also use it for some media consumption, so watching YouTube videos, some movies, TV shows, whatever there may be. I was watching it primarily on my iPad if it was next to me and charged. And because of its nice form factor that resembles like a piece of paper or a notebook, I was often using it in landscape mode, writing notes like a piece of paper. And at the time I would edit a podcast that I would usually edit on LumaFusion, and when I would edit, I would just place my iPad onto my Magic Keyboard and edit away that way. And it would export those projects and usually under 5 to 10 minutes. So that's really great. It was a lot faster than my 2016 MacBook Pro, so I was really impressed with this iPad at the time. And even though my iPad Air did everything I needed to do at a pretty fast rate, I knew that the iPad Pros with the M1 chips could perform even better than that, so that was really exciting. The iPad Pro also has the Face ID, which was something that I was looking forward to because I'm so used to Face ID with my iPhones. Though the Touch ID on my iPad Air was very seamless, never had any issues with it. It sometimes was a little bit more convenient. And on top of the high refresh rate, you also have the beautiful display on the iPad Pros, which is not on the iPad Airs. The display was just beautiful and something that had me wanting to upgrade for sure. And my idea of the upgrade to the 12.9 at the time was to get more space while taking notes, editing, or doing anything I needed to do, or just having a nicer display to watch videos and movies on. But that's where I started to have issues with it. Because it was so big, it was harder to use the same way that I would use my iPad Air. The Air was so light and was so easy to carry around that I could use it like a tablet or a notebook, or maybe like a clipboard would be a better imagery. But if I needed to do the same thing with the iPad Pro, it's a little bit heavier. Writing notes on here is a little harder to get a good grip on it. It feels a little bit less stable. And eventually you can get something where you're comfortable to write a note, but the transition was harder than I think it needed to be. Obviously, despite that, they're both still really good at any creative work that you'll need. So if you want to do editing or photoshopping or Lightroom, both of these displays will do just what you need them to do, though they're really a slight advantage to the Pro models because of that display, as well as the high refresh rate if your creative work is to draw. Honestly, it's really hard to tell the difference between the two. I think you only will notice a difference if you're looking at it side by side, and that's not really a justifiable reason to upgrade if you don't have the need for the ProMotion display. I've had no issues using LumaFusion on both of these devices. Like I said, entertainment, games, and media are gonna look stunning on both of these, but obviously with the Pro display, it's gonna look even better. So that's also a really great thing to have for those purposes, and you have to decide whether or not it's worth getting the iPad Pro for. But for me, I decided that it was because I wanted to see a bigger display and have it a bit more portable. Before I tell you what I really missed about the iPad Air, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video so far, and let me know in the comments if you're deciding between these two devices. I know these are the previous generations to the most current generations that are out now. There's an M2 iPad Pro and an M1 iPad Air, but in any case, these are still really great devices and they're still gonna blow the performances out of the water. So don't feel like you need to spend top dollar for the most recent product. You can get these for a really great price right now, renewed on Amazon. And if you want to get them, I'll have them linked in our description below. If you want to support our channel, use our affiliate links. We really appreciate that. We'll be able to do more videos like this for you guys. So like I said earlier, the iPad Air is just so much easier to handle than the iPad Pro 12.9 display because it's just that much bigger. While yes, the 11-inch iPad Pro is almost exactly the same weight and size, this for me was what I needed at the time, and I got a lot of use out of it. The compatibility of the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil really made this such a versatile device. I didn't really like carrying my iPad Air with the Magic Keyboard because the keyboard was so heavy. The doubling of the weight of the iPad Air just really took away from it. Even though it was a nice to have, I didn't really care to carry it around that way. Even though it only had the A14 Bionic, I didn't need anything more than what it was offering. It's not like I was editing in 4K or needed to edit any large files like that, but even then, I've seen people edit 4K footage on this and it does pretty well on LumaFusion. That being said, there are some things that the M1 iPad Pro could do that the iPad Air couldn't. First and foremost, the speakers are so much better on this iPad Pro. They are 4 speakers rather than just 2. Though the iPad Air shows as if it does have 4 speakers, it's really just 2 and 2, and then the rest are just random holes that they decide to make it look symmetrical. And like I said before, the display is really hard to beat on this iPad Pro. It makes watching movies, playing games to a whole nother level with that beautiful display. But I will say, because of the larger screen, for me the most natural way to use this iPad Pro is in landscape mode. And unlike the Magic Keyboard that I was using on my iPad Air, with this iPad Pro I decided to go with the Logitech Combo Touch. But because of the way the Combo Touch is designed, yes, there's some convenience in being able to take the keyboard off at any time and use it as a stand with the case and have better protection. You do lose the ability to use it very conveniently, like on your lap or any quick situations. You really have to use this keyboard on a desk or a flat surface tabletop situation. So I just got a used version of the Magic Keyboard for this display, and I'm wondering if that's going to change how I look at this as a versatile device, because right now as it is, doesn't feel as versatile as the iPad Air was. This feels more of a laptop replacement because my iPad Pro is just the same size as my 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is kind of crazy. It's almost the exact same size. While there are some operating system limitations that would prevent me from replacing my MacBook with my iPad in a laptop replacement situation, this is still pretty much a laptop replacement in most cases, especially if you're using it with a Magic Keyboard or the Logitech Combo Touch. A great thing about this display again is the refresh rate, and it's really great for gaming. You're also able to remote play your PS5 onto your iPad, and I'm sure the refresh rate would be really beneficial in those situations. Though I'm not sure if you're limited to a certain refresh rate if you're streaming from your iPad wirelessly. I'm not sure about that, but maybe. While the display is sometimes too big to handle, like I said earlier, this does come in handy in times where I'm on the go or out and about and I need a second display to do some of my workflow. As you can see here, I built a dual monitor system that helps me with my workflow, whether I'm doing my work or if I'm doing work for the channel. So it's been really helpful. But when I'm on the go, I can't do that necessarily unless I have this iPad. I just put it here next to it, and because of the continuity settings, you're able to switch between the two or use them as a external display, an expensive freaking monitor. The cool thing is though, if you are mirroring display, you could literally just use your Apple Pencil, and if you're editing on a software or something like that, you could just edit on here with your Apple Pencil and do all the things. Obviously there's some shortcut stuff that you would need to do, but yeah, there is that ability that's really nice to have. So if you're still not sure between these two iPads, here's what I recommend. If you need a tablet, if you need an iPad for the truest form of an iPad, I would say get the iPad Air, or at least the iPad Pro 11-inch. because that is the perfect size, I think, for an iPad. It's a lot more portable, and like I said, I feel like it's the more versatile device because of its portability. And also, if you're someone who likes to take notes, the iPad Air is, again, it's just the easier one to take notes with, so pick that one up. But if you're an artist and need something a bit more larger or something that has a better refresh rate, the iPad Pro is going to be your best bet. Or if you need something that is a laptop replacement. Though you're going to be paying almost the same price as a MacBook with the iPad Pro, you're going to have a bit more versatile device because you'll have an Apple Pencil support, you'll be able to use it like a tablet, and all that jazz. Where if you get a MacBook, you can only use it as a MacBook, which, again, it's not a bad thing, but if you want versatility, the iPad Pro might be your best bet. And I know I just said that this iPad Pro is not versatile. It is versatile, don't get me wrong. It's just for my usage, it doesn't feel as versatile as the iPad Air. If you feel like you disagree with me and your usage, that's totally fine. Everyone has a different workflow, everyone has a different way of using a device that would benefit them. But for me, the iPad Pro just feels a little bit harder to use than the iPad Air, at least at the larger display. That is just my opinion, so take that with a grain of salt. What matters is that you get the device that works for you. And between these two devices, I gotta say, you have no wrong choice. It just depends on what you need. So let me know in the comments below which one you're deciding between, if you're leaning towards the larger 12.9 display of the iPad Pro, or if you're looking for a more budget-friendly iPad Air. Let me know in the comments which one you're leaning towards. And if both of those iPads aren't really doing it for you, stay tuned for a video that I'm gonna do on this iPad Mini 6. I found this for a great deal at my local game store, and honestly, the few weeks that I've been using this, it's pretty fire. So make sure to stay tuned for that video because the iPad Mini 6 might just be the one for you. And speaking of mini, if you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy this video right here where Arnell shares his thoughts on the iPhone 13 mini. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.